Okay, so apparently Raw from here on out are going to be a super show. That means they will have people from SmackDown, all thanks to
I am the game.
who gets to come out for the opening like 10-15 minutes of every single Raw. Of course, he called out Nash. Nash didn't come down. Instead, Punk came down. Those two went at it for a little while. Then Nash came down to the old NWO music. And Nash is standing kind of funny. Apparently Nash has been hired. So, whatever. They then make the match for Night of Champions. Punk versus Nash. Even though Night of Champions is supposed to have all the belts on the line, and neither one of those two have a belt, nor is it for like #1 contendership or the Internet Wrestling Championship or the Battle Bowl ring or the King of the Ring title, or it's essentially for nothing. It'd be a grudge match, which would be weird having Night of Champions. But of course, with this being, a super show, most of the matches were actually matches between SmackDown and Raw talent, with the exception of quite a few matches, which was kind of weird. If you have the ability to draw talent from both shows, why not showcase talent like that? Of course, your opening match was Orton versus Ziggler. Great back and forth. Orton picks up the victory. Really, really solid match. But that also kind of helped further more of the Swagger Ziggler Guerrero triangle going on. Cena came out. He was talking about this, that, and the other thing. And he got bleeped for saying the word douchebag about personal W, which then made Mark Henry come down, which then made Christian come down, which then made Sheamus come down. So there's your main event. Sheamus and John Cena, a very odd tag team, knowing that Sheamus' first major title run came after he pushed John Cena through a table, taking on Mark Henry and Christian. So that would have been your main event. Pretty solid main event, I'll give him credit for that. The team of Kofi Kingston and Evan Bourne took on McGillicuddy and Otunga. Sorry, I'm currently kind of fighting a cold. So, of course, they have a team now. It's called Air Boom. Yeah, I don't think Air Boom is a really good name for a tag team. Especially, they'll probably drop that name maybe in a couple of weeks. Air Boom? No. It doesn't. And I wouldn't go with that at all. I mean, even though they call them Evan Airborne, you probably could have still used the term airborne because they're both high flyers. But Air Boom now. And of course, they actually defeated the tag team of McGillicuddy and Otunga. And then Otunga got in Lawler's face for some strange reason. I guess he's blaming Lawler for them being horrible in the ring. I guess it's something for Mr. Hudson to do. Kelly took on one of the Bellas. I really could have cared less. While that match was going on, they did go back to the Divas of Doom. And for a second, I could tell them apart. It's really weird. And the whole oh, they're cheering for them, that's why we don't like them. But we're not jealous. I'm really trying to figure out what they're trying to do with those two. If they want to have them be, anti-Kelly and anti-Divas and try to bring back the actual women's wrestling, they're really not going to be heels because they're going to actually get over. They will have CM Punk'd their way into being over. But from last week's promo, we don't have to be voluptuous. They're thick girls. They have curves. There's not much you can say about that. They both very obviously do have breasts. I'll just say it. They do. It's just what happens when you're a curvy woman and you've been in the E for a while. It's kind of a prereq to get hired. The Miz took on CM Punk. Pretty solid match. Nice back and forth. R-Truth came down, which then led to R-Truth being beaten by CM Punk. Then CM Punk being jumped by Miz. Then Nash coming down and Nash laying out Punk. So far we've seen Nash get into the ring on several occasions, and he hasn't blown his knee yet, which is good. Surprised by now he hasn't, walked to the ring, got in the ropes, and collapsed. Yes, I still recall that six-man tag where Nash got tagged in, and then his knee gave out, and I was like, wow. Well, there goes all your major storylines. Sin Cara took on Jack Swagger. Not Mystico Sin Cara, I think this is Hunrico Sin Cara. Yes, even though Sin Cara came back from suspension, it's a different Sin Cara now. How can you tell? He clears the ropes during his intro. And a lot less botches. Really good, solid match. Of course, he got the victory over Swagger due to interference by Ziggler. Very, very solid match. This Sin Cara does a really good job. Very, very impressive. So then, of course, takes down our main event, which is Sheamus and Cena versus Henry and Christian. Very good match. Nice back and forth. And then, of course, the team of Cena and Sheamus have to get the victory. I hate having to do this, but speaking of tag, I'm going to take my singular with emergency. Allergies suck. You never ever want them. So that match was done. They go to the back. Where's Triple H?
I am the game.
Talking with CM Punk, letting him go, yeah, your match with Nash is off. Instead, you're taking on me. And I was like, wow. Why now? What's wrong with Nash? Because you almost think that like a Triple H CM Punk match, that's like your Survivor Series match, or a Royal Rumble match, or a WrestleMania match. That's a big four, not a Champions match. You'd think you'd go from that's you put your logo, that's you fade to black. No, instead they go back to the ring, where Sheamus and Cena are celebrating, and then you go off the air. So you had them celebrating, cut back to Triple H and Punk. That's when you end it. You don't go from that and cut back to Cena and Sheamus celebrating the ring for no reason. So the ending was pretty good. I'm glad that CM Punk talked about click, 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 as people do when Nash is on TV. They change the channel. Or it's the sound your knees make, Nash. Pretty good. But I'll be honest, seeing Triple H and Nash talk at length, it does get kind of dry. I mean, the match between H and Punk seems like it's got some fantastic legs to it. And I will expect next week, Laurinaitis to come down and be like, no, you can't get physically involved in these matches. And instead Punk will take on whoever, Mick Foley, I don't know. So, the ending seemed to be edited wrong. At the beginning, it was actually decent. But if they're going to be super shows from here on out, you'd almost think you'd want to showcase more talent, unless they're thinking when it comes to SmackDown, the only thing you really have is Sin Cara, Christian, Henry, Sheamus, Orton. They did a promo for Alex Riley, and my first thought was, let's promo from Alex Riley, and he will wrestle nobody. But of course, on a serious note, the Hurricane Irene has done kind of a number on the East Coast. So just want to end this by saying, thoughts, prayers, are definitely the people who are currently on the East Coast. We've got some facilities for the company that I work for in that area, as well as companies we work for who are kind of affected. And there's people without power. So I will say that if we do give kudos to the WWE for throwing in the little Red Cross blip in there, to let people know that you can donate, you can help out. So for everyone who's currently affected or knows somebody who's affected, my thoughts and prayers are with them.